You did something. You do not remember it because you filed it under nothing picked. You didn't pray the most on that day. That was not as small. No one took a picture of it and no one thanked you for it. When you were done, you felt like you had done the bare minimum of what a good person would have done. That's exactly the time I was sent to talk to you about, because that's when heaven stopped. The room above you became silent and someone with a voice that has never needed a microphone said that one is mine, and I know exactly what that made you feel when I said it. Your chest felt a little tight against it. A quiet no, I'm not interested. It was a reflex that happened before you could think, argue, or decide if you believed me or not. Remember how you felt. Don't move it yet. The whole point of this message is that reaction. This is what will happen. As you listen, you'll understand why you can remember a sentence that hurt you 7 years ago so well. We're down to the temperature of the room and the way the light was falling. Still, you can't think of 3 honest things you've done in the last 30 days. You will feel the painful feeling of not being seen start to ease up in your chest. You will be seen the whole time and could not read the record that was written about you. This is not because I like you. It will be very clear that you were seen and cannot argue with that. You will be able to do something you can't do now when you leave. Before you leave, you will have a way to get back. The proof of your own life. That proof is the only thing a person can use when heaven tells them to carry something in public. Before we go any further, let me pay you something. I don't think someone should have to wait an hour for their first piece of bread. Do this while you're sitting there. In the last 30 days, name 3 things you did that no one saw, and that cost you something. The real cost. You could have kept the money. You could have slept through that time. Something you might have said but didn't. Wait a minute. That list is too long for most people to finish. Do the other one now. In the last 30 days, name 3 bad things you did. Take a look at what happened. That list came right away. It got there in good shape. It came with talk, faces, and the exact tone of voice someone used. You didn't need to look for it. It was already loaded and ready to go. That's not being honest. That's not being humble. It's not that you're spiritually grown up enough to see your flaws clearly. That's a problem with the recording. What's going on is inside a machine you didn't build and didn't get a manual for. Your memory was built to store threats at the highest resolution possible because danger was what killed people for thousands of years. It also encodes quiet integrity at the lowest level possible, since integrity has never put anyone in danger. It was never marked as important to keep by the system. So, you've been carrying around a highlight reel of your mistakes in one hand and a blurry, unreadable file of your faithfulness in the other. After looking at them both, you came to a decision about what kind of person you are. Picked one. You made a decision about your own soul based on bad information. There is a way to get that record back. There is one act inside yours as well. For a moment, that's why you were called out loud. This message is almost over. But I have one more thing to say. I will describe that moment in such detail that you will know which one it was. Those 2 things are on the way. Follow me. But before we go, there's one thing you need to do while your chest is still open. It will close again in the morning. Type 2 words in the box below. I was seen, not because it will make you feel better for an hour. You need to say it out loud because it's the first thing you've added to your own record in a long time, and something inside you needs to hear it. After that, come back here and I'll read you again. Now I'll tell you about my life and you tell me how close I get. People call you when things go wrong. People don't call you when they want to celebrate something. You saw that years ago and decided it was okay. Most of the time it is okay. But there is one time at night when it's not okay at all. People have carried you and never once looked back to see if you were still standing, and you didn't get mad at them for it. That's why it's so tough to talk about. You didn't turn mean. You just stopped talking. You keep telling yourself the same story about how valuable you are even though you are not aware of it. When someone thanks you, you feel tight. You say it wasn't important. You say not to worry about it. You've said hundreds of times that anyone would have done the same thing. But it's never been true. No one else would have done what they did. You did. As you pray, it seems like you're speaking into a room with great sound and no one is there to hear you. Not because you don't believe in God. You've always been sure of that. Instead of being interested in everyone who is trying, you don't think God is interested in you in particular. Here is the sign that made me sure this message is meant for you these days. Something in your life got heavier instead of lighter. Not less responsibility, more of it. It felt like you had more to carry during a time when you should have felt lighter. And you've been thinking about what you did to deserve the pay raise. 4 of those 5 or maybe all 5. And here's the thing about that list. Pick one. It has a lot of things that are all signs of the same underlying problem. It's also not the condition you think it is. You think that no one is noticing you. That's what you think. Heaven either hasn't seen you or has seen you but has put you aside or is waiting for you to become more before calling your name. That's not what's going on. What's really going on in the simplest words I can find. No one has forgotten about you. You are not able to read your own file. And the act that got you in trouble with the law is one that you personally filed under nothing. Read that again slowly because it makes 3 different claims. We are going to break each one down and show you how true it is. The claims that you are seeing that you can't read the evidence and that the act that will decide the case is one that you have already thrown out. The third one has a name, the lack of credit. It's not being modest. You can choose to be modest in what you say. This takes place in the 60 milliseconds before you say anything in the time it takes for your brain to decide whether to file an event. And every honest, tired, loyal person I've ever talked to has had it worse than any cocky person they've ever met. It's not a mistake. And you'll know why by the time we're done. Let's take it all apart. Beginning with the sign you experience most often, but don't fully understand. This is the sign. You can't just show proof of your own goodness when asked. You could not defend yourself tonight if I asked you to stand up and explain why you are a good person. You would have to dig deep into your memory to find almost nothing. Not many things, and the ones you would immediately qualify or explain away in the same breath that you said them. On the other hand, you wouldn't need to do any work to make the case against yourself. You wouldn't need to take notes to talk for 20 minutes. The conversation from 2019 is written down for you. Someone gave you a look at a family get-together. You know what you said at the funeral. That wasn't right. This is the false cause. It's been riding around with you like a diagnosis. So, I want to call it out by its proper name. You think that there isn't much proof of your goodness, which is why you can't find it. You think that the fact that the file is empty proves that your life is empty. That's not right. Not just slightly wrong, completely wrong in a way that can be shown. This is the proof. The other file would also be empty if the first file was empty because the life was empty. But the other file is too big. The same person lived the same life in both files for 30 years. One of them is blank and one is full. If you put a blank file next to a full file that covers the same area, it doesn't tell you anything about the area. It tells you about the gear used for recording. This is how it works. And I'm going to explain it to you. Like a doctor would give you a scan instead of a preacher would comfort you. You don't store everything in your memory in the same way. It has never done that. The part of your brain that handles alarms sends out chemicals that tell you to burn this in when something scary happens. Always keep it. Don't let this happen again. This makes a memory with sound, temperature, texture, and order. It plays back like a recording made with professional gear. If something good happens in the background, no one sounds the alarm. There's no flooding. The moment is saved at the system's lowest resolution along with the drive home and what you ate on Tuesday. It's not erased. It is stored so faintly that you can't purposely get it back by accident. Most of the time when someone else brings it up and you say, "Oh, I forgot all about that." We haven't failed spiritually. Read it again. We haven't failed spiritually. It's not pride. It's not a lack of gratitude. It's not a lack of faith. This is also not proof that heaven has been holding back. The survival system is doing exactly what was designed to do in a setting that it wasn't designed for. That's because it was designed for a world where forgetting a threat killed you. And forgetting a kindness didn't cost you anything. You're no longer living in that world. Your sense of self-worth comes from the things that come to mind when you think about the past. And for as long as you've been alive, your memory has been giving you a gallery of your worst moments. Let me do something with the person you chose in the past because this changes what it means to you. During a dark time, every conclusion you've ever come to about yourself was based on that one broken retrieval. You weren't being honest. Every time you lay awake and counted your blessings and fell short, you were reading a file that was put together by a system that always had a bias and you took what it said as a verdict. The night you chose to be selfish. The night you chose whether you were enough or too much. During that time, you thought that God had picked out other people and left you to handle things on your own. Every single one of those conclusions came from a document that purposely left out 90% of the good parts. You have never in your life judged yourself based on all the facts. Not once. As the judge for decades, the sentence doesn't stand because the trial was flawed. Not because you are getting off, but because the sentence doesn't hold. In addition, someone who knows the trial was wrong is free to leave the building. After tonight, here's what you can do about it. This is the part that gives you back the power. There is no way to fix the recording. You will never be able to control that machine. You are in charge of retrieval, though. You can go get the file on purpose by writing it down. Just like you would get back any other document that was badly archived. You can do that, not just feel it. A skill that takes about 10 minutes to teach. I will teach you how to do it before this is over. Take back the first sentence for now. Someone thanked you once, but you said it wasn't important. Say what's really going on in the comments. It wasn't nothing. In the old writing, there is a man who stands for everything. I just said, and not many people notice what really happens in his story. His name is Gideon. A lot of people don't pay attention to the fact that he is threshing wheat in a winepress. When we meet him, people thresh their grain on top of a hill where the wind can blow the chaff away. His hiding place is a pit in the ground because he is running away from an army that is taking over. It shows a man doing important work in the worst conditions possible without being seen and getting only a small portion of the results. He would get somewhere else. A messenger then shows up and says one sentence to him. "Strong warrior, the Lord is with you. Keep an eye on Gideon because he's you." He doesn't say thanks. He doesn't stand up straight. He makes a case. He says, "My clan is the weakest and I am the least in my family." He's not being humble. He's reading his own file out loud and it says least. He really believes what it says. At that time there were two records of the same man. One said mighty warrior and the other said least in the household. The messenger wasn't trying to cheer him up. The messenger was making changes to the papers. Take note of what heaven doesn't do. Heaven doesn't try to talk him out of it. Heaven doesn't give advice on how to feel good about yourself. Heaven just keeps calling the man by his real name until he starts responding to it. This takes a while because a name you can't read still works on you every time it's said. That's what this hour is. It doesn't give you hope. Someone is trying to make you feel better when they encourage you because you lost your copy. This is someone reading your record back to you. I'm going to talk about a woman, but I'm not going to name her because she asked me not to and her story is not about her. She took care of her mother for 11 years. But by the third year, she stopped recognizing her. The 11 years of someone who didn't know who she was. There was no one there, no thanks, and no pictures of any of it. It seemed like she had wasted 10 years of her life on something that didn't lead anywhere. She was afraid she had wasted the only years she had. In March, her mother passed away on a Tuesday. A nurse from the care home came up to her at the service. She told someone she hadn't talked to in a while. "I need to tell you something. Because of you, everyone on that floor has changed how they do their job. Right now we're taking better care of living people than we would have." She also said that neither she nor they would ever know your name. It wasn't the comfort that was strange. The vertigo was to blame. She had put 11 years of what she had called West in a different file under a different name. It turned out she was making a record she couldn't get to. That is the case. Picked one. That's the case for you. It's not that the record is thin or that you don't have it. Please know that every seed you plant in this mission grows into a torch that shines in someone else's darkness. Whether by buying a coffee, making a donation, or becoming a member of our community does not go to a channel. Your actions are supporting a divine mission to save lost souls. But more than your support, we want your presence. When you head to our community through the link in the description or the pinned comment, you aren't just visiting a site. You are entering a community of like-minded believers. This is a sanctuary where you can post your prayer requests, lift up the burdens of others, and engage in daily discussions with a family that speaks the language of faith. Whether you are joining one of our membership tiers for deeper study, sowing a seed of faith, or simply joining our daily morning prayers, you are helping us build a global altar of worship. Heaven moves through willing voices, but it grows through a community that stands together. Each gift you give acts as living water for those in our community seeking healing and hope. Give and it will be given to you is the promise that sustains our shared mission. I invite you now to step out of the shadows and into this circle of prayer. Come with purpose. Join the conversation and plant your seed in fertile ground. Let's open the heavens together. Release your seed today. Join our community and see what God brings back into your life. I have to plant something before we go any further. I will leave it alone for a while and come back to it much later. The search did not always go so badly. During one time in your childhood, both the good and the bad memories came back to you at the same time. You could remember an entire afternoon instead of just one painful sentence. Between that child and the person listening now, something changed in the body. It was weighed a group of people who were not looking for anything. Spiritual measured it in a lab. And what they proved has almost never happened in prayer rooms where people like you go. Hold on to this question. You might not be able to read your own record because of a problem with the record or with yourself. Snorts. What if the problem is something you turned off a long time ago and haven't turned back on? Now I'm going to talk about language because what is happening to you right now has a word in the old text, snorts, and the translation you were given isn't really wrong. It's just not helpful. The word is kav. It reads as glory in almost all of the versions you will read. Heaven was filled with God's glory. He will be praised. It makes you think of light, radiance, something shining, bright and easy to see when you hear the word glory. You are getting hurt by that picture. This is why it's not light that the root under kavod means. It means heavy mass or weight. To give kavod means to make heavy. It's more like what we mean when we say someone has weight in the room or that something is very important. It's not a lamp in the original picture. The first picture is a load. Take some time to think about how that changes your season. People who have been ignoring you for years have been asking heaven for glory, which you have taken to mean that you want to be lit up, noticed, brought forward, praised and finally seen. And heaven has been answering the real question, which is about weight. In the end, the answer was weight, which means more responsibility and heavier duties. You have people leaning on you now who didn't have them 2 years ago. A season that got darker instead of lighter. And since you were hoping for light, the weight you got was seen as a rejection. You thought I wanted to be seen, but I have more to bring. That means the answer is no. Pick the yes was the weight. The weight is how it feels on the inside to be claimed. And it has never felt like being lit up. Not for a single person in the whole file. Check out how it hits people in the text. There are more and more of them. Moses gets a people group. Mary gets pregnant, which hurts her reputation more than anything else. Each of them is given a load that wouldn't have been given to someone who couldn't carry it. No one in the book is made lighter as a sign of favoritism. Not a single one. That brings us to the second thing, which is the mechanism that this message's title pointed to. Heaven doesn't do an interview when it wants to add weight. It doesn't look over your public work because that is the only test that can be trusted. It looks for a place where you have already carried something without anyone seeing. What it looks for has a name. The act that was not seen. Think about how an audience changes how people act. As soon as someone is looking, a second motive comes in. A good reason, a human one. You want people to think well of you. That want goes along with the good thing you're doing. After that, no one, not even you, can tell the difference between the two. The act is real and the data about it has been stolen. If you take away the audience, the second motive has nothing to feed on. What's left is the only clean thing that can be taken from a person's character. It's the only measurement that doesn't take into account the observer. That's why the test is set up so that you can't see the examiner. And that's also why you had no idea you were taking it many times. You took that test in hospital hallways at 200 in the morning in your car outside your house before you went inside and put your face back on. You didn't send a message that would have ended the friendship and won the argument at the time. In the money you gave that no one knows about during the shift you worked. In the truth you lied when it would have been easier and harder to be found out. Each of those things was a data point. All of them were recorded upstairs at full quality, but you only recorded almost none of them. Take a moment to let your body catch up with that. It will want to stop where it is and let your shoulders drop about half an inch. Tonight, feel where the stress is really sitting in your body. And I think it's high up between the base of your neck and the top of your chest. That's where people feel the pain of not being noticed. Take a slow breath in. Let the next sentence be true in your body as well as your head as the air goes out. Someone has written something about me that I can't read. Feel, snorts, what that does to your throat when you let it be true. That place feels like it's leaning against something else. Both of those answers are right on the mark. Being pushed back is without a doubt the chosen one. We are going to break the habit of pushing back before this is over. Just for now, write the second one. Open the file with 3 words down below. I take out the ledger. You should say it as a choice instead of a feeling, since the feeling won't come first. It doesn't ever. The choice comes first. After the proof comes the evidence. The feeling comes on so late that most people have given up and gone back to reading the broken copy. An event in the text that lasts only 4 seconds has been written about longer than any empire that was around at the time it happened. At the treasury, a woman puts in 2 of the smallest coins that are in use. That's the whole thing. She doesn't say it out loud. She's not trying to show you how to do things. She probably thinks that the amount is so small that if anyone finds out, it will make her look bad. That's why she skips ahead and doesn't stop to look up. A man across the courtyard who wasn't there to watch the treasury and had no reason to look that way stops what he's doing and says she put in more than all of them. Think about the math behind that. He's not being poetic. He's measuring cost instead of amount. By that standard, her 2 coins are worth more than all the money that rich men gave that day and were thanked in public for it. There were 4 seconds that changed the whole ledger that afternoon that the person who did them thought no one would notice. This part should make you hold your breath. She left the courtyard and went back to her house. She died and no one ever told her. In none of the versions of the story does someone run after her and tell her that she has just been made the first example of kindness in the world's oldest religion. Everyone else is measured by the 4 seconds. She spent alone feeling embarrassed and slightly ashamed. She then went home and made dinner. That story is not nice. That's a description of how accounting works and you're in it. I'm going to talk to 2 people in particular because I know they are here and I know what you are thinking. I'm not going to lie and say I don't. The first one is deep in thought. Feeling good wrapped up in religious language is all this is. Tell someone that they're really great. Give them an hour to feel better. At the end, sell them something. This move is one I've seen before. I value that thought. In all honesty, that reflex has kept you from a lot of nonsense. I'm also not going to ask you to turn it off. That being said, let me be clear about the difference. Positive thinking asks you to believe something good even though you don't have proof. That's not what I asked you to do at all. I told you to go find physical proof of things that happened in a life you lived. You don't need to feel better about yourself. Please don't accept an incomplete file as a full one anymore. If you really can't find anything after following the steps I'm going to give you, then you will have learned something useful and I won't have wasted your time. That doesn't happen though. People come back shaken because they found a lot more than they thought they would. The shaking is not fun when you find out that the story you've been telling about yourself for 20 years was based on a document that is missing most of its pages. You feel dizzy. The second person has a stronger objection that is different from the first. You think everything I've tried has failed. The journals are done. The thank you lists are done. You sat in a chair and said the affirmations over and over to yourself in the mirror while you felt like a fake. You're so sick of always being the person who tries. You've been to the retreat, read the books, and said the freedom prayer. I'm not going to tell you that what you did was wrong. You didn't. They're mostly good. This is what I'm going to say instead. And it's the only claim I'm making. Each of those ways works on the interpretation. They don't work on the retrieval at all. You should be thankful for the things you already see on a gratitude list. You have to say what you can't see when you use affirmations. Of the two, neither goes into the archive and takes the file out by hand. That's a different process. Also, if you've never done that surgery, you haven't really tried everything. You've tried everything in one group. And I should be clear because I don't want to be another voice that makes tired people promise too much. I don't know what you do. I can't see your kitchen, your bank accounts, or the secret thing. You haven't told anyone. What I can tell you is the pattern I've seen over and over again in people who carry what you carry. And you'll know right away if it fits. So this is how it works. This is the tool. It is not glamorous. For some reason, this gratitude practice does something different for people that I have never seen it do before. The private ledger is what they call it. You are only going to look at 3 acts from the last 30 days that meet 3 conditions at the same time. No one saw it happen. It really cost you something and you got nothing out of it. 30 days because the old files are still warm. 3, since 2 is just a coincidence and 4 is a project you're going to give up on. Now, the rules are what make this work or not work. Don't just think about them. Write them down with a pen on paper. Because the problem is with your head and you can't fix a retrieval problem by using the system that has a retrieval problem. Write down the exact amount it cost. I did not help my neighbor. Right. That week I gave up 90 minutes of the only free evening I had. I was already tired, but I did it anyway. The data is what it costs. It's just a nice memory without the cost line and your system will put it back where it was. You do not qualify. This is the strict rule. Everyone without exception writes the act and then adds a sentence that takes it away. But anyone would have done it. It wasn't a big deal though. But I did it because I felt bad about it. Get rid of those sentences. You can see how many times your hand tried to erase the evidence while you were gathering it. If you leave the cross out on the page and write down the ones that feel too small, like the waiting, the tone you softened, and the 3 seconds you didn't say the painful truth. The real record can be found in the small ones since those are the ones that don't try to get people to watch. Do it once. Then I'll describe the next few weeks. And I want you to picture yourself there. Instead of just picturing it, this morning is not exciting or unusual. There are too many people in the meeting, kitchen or room, and someone says your name out loud and says something nice about you. They say what you did. It's said in front of other people. And this is the whole picture. Picked. There's nothing in you that can shrink it. You don't say anything to say that it was nothing. You don't raise your hand because there is now a piece of paper with your handwriting on it that says the thing is true and it wasn't nothing. That old reflex doesn't fire anywhere in the body. So you just get it. It takes 2 seconds, but you really mean it when you say thank you. The meeting goes on and no one notices what happened, but it did. You handle the rest of that day in a different way. The room is not being searched to see if they meant what they said. You're not going to watch it again at 11 p.m. that night to find the catch. There is a calmness in your chest that you haven't felt in years. It doesn't come from being praised either. There was always praise to be had. It comes from being able to accept praise without your body rejecting it as strange. Before we go any further, I want to be honest with you about where we are. This is where a lot of people leave off. One step before the part that changes things. At this point, all you have been given is a diagnosis. It's true and useful, and you would have more than you started with if you stopped now. But diagnosis is only half of the story. You still need to read the rest of this message, which has 2 things you don't have yet. It gives a detailed account of the act that got you into trouble, which is what the title promised and I have not given you. It also tells you why your record became fuzzy in the first place, which is not what you think and is something that almost no one has told you. Stay for both. The worst thing I can give you is not behind you. Let me talk about the act. Not yours to be exact, since I can't see yours. You can remember the shape of it so well that it works out while I talk. It happened after you were already worn out. That is the first marker, and almost everyone has it. It wasn't a good day. On a day when you had nothing left, you did it anyway. Even though you had a good excuse that everyone would have believed, not with happiness, probably with some anger. That does not rule it out. There's no need to have felt good in the record. There was no audience and there was no chance of getting one. There was no way for anyone to know. Not after that, and not by chance. In none of the versions, someone thanked you at the end. You already knew that, which is why the choice was clear. You lost something that you couldn't get back. It's not always money. You had every right to hold on to sleep, an opportunity. Your relationship with someone, and a boundary. Something went away from you for good and didn't come back in any other form. And the person it was meant for either didn't deserve it, didn't understand how nice it was, or lost track of it, one of those 3, or maybe all 3 at the same time. This mark will help you figure out which one it was. You didn't feel anything when you left it. Warmth, satisfaction, or like you'd done something good. It's likely that you felt a little flat and silly, and by the next night, you had really forgotten about it. That being flat is the chosen signature. That's why it was recorded at full resolution upstairs. And almost nothing at all by you. The fact that there was no reward feeling shows that there was no reward sought, and the only kind of action that measures anything is one that doesn't look for a reward. There is a time in the last few years that fits all of those criteria. I think you thought of it while I was talking. I also think that the next thing you did was to say why it doesn't count. We're talking about that move, that reflex right there. I want you to catch it while it's still warm and clear. Please bear with me for a moment. Don't do anything. Picture it. Think of the file we've been talking about as a real paper document that you are writing by hand on a table in front of you. Think about your right hand with a pen in it. It has held that pen for 30 years, ready to cross out the next line. As soon as something good is written on it, check out how easy the grip is to use. Look at how worn out the hand is. Put the pen down on the table now. Do not throw it. You can just open your fingers, put it down and leave the page alone. You can still read everything on it. After that, say the sentence below. I'm done wiping out my past. Soak it all in for a moment. That was a lot. The next part won't ask you to do anything. Things are fine. I want to tell you I knew a man who fixed shoes in a shop about the width of a hallway. When I was younger for 41 years, he did it. People don't really mean it when they say he was wise. He didn't say anything. He liked sports a lot and had strong feelings about small things. But over the years I saw something different about him. People who didn't need their shoes fixed went into that shop. They walked in, stood at the counter and talked while he worked. His work never stopped and he never looked up. There was something about that that let them say things they couldn't say anywhere else. A grown man cried in there over a nice pair of boots. His mind was elsewhere when he did it. I know for sure that to be true. That street's load-bearing structures would have laughed at you if you told them. He would have said the rent was going up. He thought that he fixed shoes by a mile. He was running the only place where someone could be quietly sick in front of another person without it becoming a big deal. People didn't sit down and figure out what they had lost after he died. The shop changed into something else. That was the only thing that was said. There wasn't even a word for it. Whenever someone tells me their life has been short, I think of him. He would have said the same thing about his own and he would have been the worst person on that street. Take a moment to think about that. There are people out there right now who changed something about their lives around you, but you don't know about it and probably will never be told. Now, let me go back to what I planted earlier. It's been sitting there for a while, so it's time to turn it over once. I told you that pulling was better when you were younger. Someone changed something in the machinery and it was measured in a lab. I said that people who pray were never told about it. This is all I have to say about it. The change can be seen. It does happen a lot and it's not a moral thing. By a certain age, almost everyone in this culture goes through it. That's because it hurts the most the people who spent the most years being careful, responsible, and alert. In other words, it hurts people like you the most. I'm going to say something directly to you about your life before this message ends. And I want you to hear it because it won't be a wish or something general. First though, the heaviest thing I have, I would keep this piece if I could only keep one. It's the reason why the other pieces haven't worked for you before. We've been talking as if the problem with the recording is your fault, as if the equipment underexposes the good and you are the one getting a bad file. That's true. It is also not finished. The part that isn't finished is the part that you can control because you have been helping. Something rude happens. Every time someone thanks you and you say it wasn't important, it has a body. At that very moment, your system gets clear instructions from the person it trusts the most, you. This is the instruction. It's not worth keeping that type of event. Bring it down. Do not mark it. Do not make it stronger overnight. That instruction has been coming from you for decades. Many times say it was nothing. Turn down enough compliments. It stops being polite when someone starts to name what you did and you have to change the subject. It turns into policy. The rule is learned by your memory and used before you are even aware of the event. Because of this, the good things go away before you can be humble about them. The filter got faster after you taught it how to do things. The self-eraser habit is a name for this. And I want to be clear about what I'm not saying, because this is where someone who is tired makes it sound like they did something else wrong. You didn't do this out of vanity backwards. You learned it. Most of you learned it when you were very young in a house where taking up space was expensive and someone bigger than you had to be the one who was seen. Being useful and invisible at the same time was the safest thing that could be done. That was very smart. It worked for a child to figure that out in order to stay alive. You are no longer in that house. But the policy is still in effect, and it is now getting rid of the only proof you have that you are who heaven says you are. Here's the new sentence that will be used instead. It will be very hard to handle the first few times someone thanks you. It was important to me that you said thank you. That's all 9 words. After them, don't add anything. Don't give an explanation. Do not put the blame on other people or things. Do not say that it was really the team, God, or nothing. After you say the 9 words, there should be silence. The silence can be awkward as it wants to be. That group of 9 words looks like good manners, but they are not. I want you to know what they do. The first 3 don't say no to the event. Instead, they accept it. The last 6 are the most important. They show that the moment is important to you. And significance is the exact tag that your memory needs to store something in its full size. When you say that, you're not being polite. You are overriding in order to delete. You are using the machinery to mark a file by hand so that it can be kept in real time in front of a witness. After 20 times, the record will start to play back on its own during normal events, and you will remember things about your life that you haven't been able to access in years. To be honest, I can't give you a time frame for that. Sometimes it moves quickly and sometimes it moves slowly. And I'm not sure why. Someone who did it every day for a month and said nothing changed is something I have never seen. Please let me show you where this goes, because there is a different version of your life there that I want you to stand in. It's been a year or 2 and the way you enter rooms is different. That is the oddest place to see it. But that's where people see it now. Some part of you walks into every room a little early, a little ahead of yourself, working, checking to see if you are welcome here, and being a little more helpful than is necessary. Looking at people's faces to find out what they're thinking that never comes. You are running a test, chosen one. It's been years since you last tried out for a part that was already cast and was never taken away from you. This time that stops. When you walk in, you're just there. When you sit down, you don't check to see if it's the right one. You don't rush to fill a little with useful things when there is one. Someone who has known you for a long time says that you seem different, but neither of you can explain what it is. The answer is that you stopped a background process that was using up most of your available space. And now you're nicer, which no one saw coming. Everyone thinks that when someone stops erasing, they become more difficult to be around. The opposite takes place. The other people in the race leave when you know your own record. Seeing other people have a good day doesn't make you feel like something is being taken away. I haven't given you a full name yet. You are more than just the chosen one. You have a better name for what you are. And it's not a compliment. When you get this job, it changes the way you move for the rest of your life. I'll give it to you before we're done. But you can't get that name while the policy on deletion is still in effect. That's why we had to do the hard part first. You've been given a lot tonight, and you should be able to say it back to yourself in one paragraph. So, let me write it all out in plain English without any pictures or metaphors. Why does any of this matter? Your life has never given you a sense of whether you are chosen or not. It was made from the things you remember about your life. And that memory has a permanent bias that makes the mistakes stand out and the good things get lost. As soon as you fix the retrieval, the conclusion will change by itself. That's the secret mechanism behind everything I've said tonight. Do these things. 3 expensive things that happened in the last 30 days that no one saw were written down on paper along with the amount of money they cost and every excuse that went along with it. Then the 9 words. As soon as someone thanks you, move on to the next person. This is for the following people. Not all of them. It's for someone who has been honest for years and hasn't seen any results. What kind of person does the right thing even when there's no reason to? Who has been carrying more weight lately and seeing it as a punishment? If that's you, this was always meant for you. Put 4 words below where I can find them. If you are still here, I'm responsible. You've known for a while what was wrong. You know why tonight. Being able to change something does not mean that you know why it is the way it is. There is still one more thing in the way of those 2. I already told you that the retrieval used to work better, that something changed with the machinery, and that it was measured in a lab by people who had nothing to do with spirituality. I'll read that now because it's the last part and it ties everything together. Someone proved something in a lab in 1981 that almost no one in a church or prayer group has ever heard. Daf Roger Sperry won the Nobel Prize for his work with people whose 2 brain hemispheres had been surgically separated. He found something that changed the field. The 2 halves are not extra parts. They are designed to work together all the time. And being in sync with others is important for almost everything a person does well. The state has a name when both hemispheres fire at the same time. Activation of the whole brain. Memory retrieval and pattern recognition get better in that state. And a person can hold both the emotional and the analytical at the same time instead of having to switch between them. This fact alone should make you stop and think. There are about 98% of young children who test at the creative genius level. Less than 1 in 1,000 people still do it as adults. God didn't take anything away from those people. Stress, split attention, and constant vigilance in modern life just break up the harmony year after year. This is a physical fact, not a spiritual failure. And the people who are responsible are the ones who are hurt the most. Because being careful is what does it. That's where you've been. Steve Jobs talked about it. Nikola Tesla wrote about it. Taylor Swift talks about it. They didn't get anything that you didn't get. Their paths crossed again and they were back in the synchronized state. But she was stuck in the partial state. It was the same week that a woman from California wrote about her ledger. She said that in 9 years of keeping a gratitude journal, she had never learned anything new. Within 2 weeks of listening, she remembered 4 specific memories from a hard year in great detail while she was driving. She said she had seen herself for the first time in 10 years. A man from Texas had a different take on it. He said that the fog he was calling burnout had been with him for so long that he thought it was part of who he was. He said that by the third week he could have a full conversation and a full thought at the same time. He said that his wife noticed before he did that he stopped saying sorry for being alive. This is what they both used in New York. A group of neuroscientists led by Dr. Daniel Barron sped up clinical neural sync technology, which usually takes more than an hour of session time, into an 8-minute sequence of targeted sounds. 1 hour a day with headphones on and eyes closed. That's the whole practice. The smart switch is what they call it. It's not an app for meditation. There is nothing good about it. It is a specific sound sequence based on Sperry's Nobel Prize-winning research that was made to connect the two hemispheres and get the whole brain working again. Neurofeedback is the medical way to get to the same state. It costs about $300 an hour in person, or about 7,000 Zoros, and for a machine you can use at home. The easy way is to breathe through your left nostril for 20 minutes a day for months. Not everyone can use the genius switch. This is for the chosen one who has been honest for years, done the work, read the books, prayed the prayers, and is finally ready to stop seeing the fog as a flaw in their character and start seeing it as something with a real address. A lot of people will scroll right past this. It's not a mistake that you are still here. Colleagues of doctrine, Barron told him that the $500 price tag would be a great deal. And compared to the other options, they weren't wrong. There were no prices of $500 or $200 or $100 when it came out. It cost $49 when it came out. Today there is an extra $10 off that page, bringing the total price to $39. It has 4 things that go with it. A guided visualization from a top-rated creator on one of the best apps for staying calm. A smart grocery list that helps you save more than $100 every month. A classic manifestation that's been around for more than 100 years and still costs $20 by itself. There is also a printable infographic with the 5 habits, and you can get your money back in any way you want. You can listen once or 80 times. It will give you back every penny if it doesn't work for you, like it did for 18 for 56 other people. There are no strings attached. Here is something I want you to think about. It's not a deadline because I don't believe in making them up. Most likely, the things you need for the next part of your life have already been put close to you. It works like that most of the time. It isn't always sent on the day you need it. It starts early in someone you know. You already talked about it in an open door that you have walked past 4 times. When it's in sync, you can see it. If it's only partly there, you can walk by it and say that the season is over. You are not being kept from anything. There is something that is not being registered. And every month you stay in the partial state is a month of provision that you don't see in your own life. One useful thing is that you can easily find other tracks that sound similar. However, none of them have the neural sync technology built in. The sound is not what makes it work. The team designed the mechanism, and it can only be found in what they made. The only source that has been checked is the direct page. You can read the whole page before making up your mind if this sounds like something that would make you feel good. The link is in the description below and in the comment that was pinned, because I never want a tool and a source to be mixed up. I want to be clear about the order in which things were chosen. There is nothing in this that makes you chosen. You were already claimed, and that was over right away. You didn't file anything. The tool only does one thing. It gets rid of the noise so you can read what was already written about you. That's all it does. That's not a small thing. Take the ledger. Even if that page isn't right for you. There are 3 acts on paper and the cost is written down. Take the 9 words. They work and don't cost anything. And I'd rather you did those things and nothing else than nothing at all. You can click on the link if you need to. I promised you a more specific name. So, here it is. It's here. Now, you are more than just the chosen one. People put their trust in you. With weight, the bearer of weight. That's the job. That's why the weather got worse instead of better. Because of this, heaven looked in a place where no one was looking before giving you the load. As this awakening grows inside you, know that helping with this mission is not a joke. It is a sign from God. You can support this work through the link in the description or the pinned comment. Whether by buying a coffee, making a donation, or becoming a member of our Koi community. By doing so, you become part of Jesus' plan to save souls who are still stuck in fog. Every seed turns into light that fights against darkness. If you water others, you will be watered yourself. Snorts, Jesus says this is not history. It is a living promise about your future. Come into this moment with faith and a plan. What God has already planned for your life can be unlocked through your giving. In order to finish, let me take a moment to be thankful with you. Something happened tonight that is worth pausing over. You stayed. Snorts, someone who was carrying what you are carrying stayed for an hour to see if there was a record of them. People don't understand how much work that is. One more thing to put down. Say it with me and then say it again. I let go of the part of me that thought I had to earn what was already mine. Say it again. I let go of the part of me that thought I had to earn what was already mine. Now get up inside yourself because this is where I'm supposed to talk. I can be seen. I'm not read yet and that will end tonight. I'm not my worst hours added together. I kept going even when no one else was there. I'm not going to try out. I was cast. I don't feel bad about the weight I carry. It looks like the letter Weiss. The only person whose file is correct knows me at full resolution. I was claimed and I am claimed on a day. I didn't call anything. Put the last 3 words below if you get that. I have been claimed. That's how it is. Do 3 small things for other people instead of me before you leave. It's the like button that gets this in front of the next tired person who is lying awake at 2 a.m. making a case against themselves from a damaged file. That person is real, but you will never meet them after that. Share it and do this. Think of just one person, not a bunch of them. Picture their face now. Imagine the thing they've been carrying, but never talk about. No one else has noticed. Send it to them tonight without giving a reason. They should look for their own record. And if you want to keep walking with us, sign up. There are already thousands of chosen one here. And not a single one of them showed up on a good day. All of them came with something. Picked one. May the trust that was put in you be matched by the weight that was given to you. Please get the record back and don't call it nothing again when heaven calls it that. You are about to enter your divine future. But remember, this breakthrough is not for you alone. Your testimony is the bridge someone else will use to reach their own miracle. Archangel Michael is inviting you to visit community through the link in the description or the pinned comment. Whether by buying a coffee, making a donation, or becoming a member of our community does not go to a channel. Your actions are supporting a divine mission to save lost souls. By joining our like-minded community, you are no longer praying in isolation. You are adding your voice to a global sanctuary where we discuss the Word daily and stand in the gap for one another. This is not poetry. When Jesus says, "Give and heaven will open over you." On this platform, every seed you plant turns into oil for your destiny, fire for your calling, and a hedge of safety for your family. Now is your time. Step into our community prayer wall. Share your heart. And as you give, watch God multiply what you let go of. Let's finish this journey together. Visit our community now. Join the family and see your heavens open before we get to the end of this powerful story. Let's reflect on this deep truth. You did not find this message by accident. This is a divine appointment meant specifically for you. You are being invited into a protected faith-filled community at the link in the description and pinned comment. A place where divine abundance is not just a hope but a promise built on the Word. By heading to the site right now, you are unlocking access to a sacred community of like-minded believers. When you join our membership tiers, you gain immediate entry to powerful content, daily devotions, and divine insights that are hidden from the world. This is your chance to enter a sanctuary where you will receive spiritual guidance, unwavering support on our prayer wall, and speedy progress toward your destiny. Do not let this moment of destiny pass you by. Your breakthrough is waiting. Join our inner circle through the exclusive link in the description. This is how you guarantee you never miss the personalized messages and spiritual warfare tools meant to elevate your life. If you feel called to deepen your connection, the link is waiting for you in both the pinned comment and the description. For those who want to amplify this work and carry the light home, you can find our guided ebooks and Bibles in the pinned comment. Whether you join as a member or sow a seed through our resources, your presence and energy change the world. Take the step. Your abundance awaits.